You ready? Let's do this. So, check this out. Did you know that right this second, inside your body, millions, literally millions of things are happening? And you don't feel a thing. I mean, think about it. Breathing, digesting your last meal, fighting off germs, it's like this non-stop silent symphony keeping you alive. So let's take a look at the sheet music for that symphony, shall we? Okay, first things first, we've got to lay the foundation. I'm talking about 4 core processes. These definitions, you have to know them. I mean, word for word. They are the building blocks for this entire chapter. And trust me, examiners love to ask about them. So let's get them locked in. First up, nutrition. And listen, this is not just about eating, okay? The 2 magic words you have to remember are intake and utilization. It's the whole package deal. You take the food in, your body breaks it down, and then, this is the important part, it actually uses that food for energy. Glucose, and basically cash it in for the energy that keeps you awake, moving, and thinking. Then there's transport. Honestly, the easiest way to think about this is like your body's own personal Amazon Prime. It's the delivery service that takes all the important packages, like oxygen from your lungs and nutrients from your food, and rushes them to every single cell that's placed in order.
Transportation in plants and animals is essential for life, facilitating the movement of vital nutrients and energy throughout.
Super efficient, right? And last but not least, excretion. Look, every process creates some waste, and your body's no different. Excretion is simply the cleanup crew. It's the vital job of getting rid of all the harmful, toxic junk left over from all those chemical reactions. You gotta take out the trash to keep the whole system running smoothly. Okay, are all those notations starting to blur together? Don't worry, I've got a trick for you. Just remember this silly sentence. New robots transport eggs. Seriously. N for nutrition, R for respiration, T for transport, E for excretion. NRTE. New robots transport eggs. Easy peasy. All right, let's switch gears to diagrams. This is an area where so many students needlessly lose easy marks, but that's not going to be you. We're about to go over exactly what labels the examiners are looking for so you can just grab those points. So for the digestive system, you've got to hit these 4 critical points. First, the mouth. You got to mention amylase. That's the enzyme in your saliva that gets to work on starch right away. Second, the stomach. The key words here are HCl and pepsin. HCl makes things acidic, so... Alright, next we have respiration. Now hang on, don't mix this up with just breathing. That's a super common mistake. Breathing is just, getting the oxygen in. Respiration, well, that's the real magic. It's the chemical process where your cells take the food, so pepsin can break down proteins. Third, the small intestine. This is the main event where all the final digestion and absorption happens. And finally, the large intestine. Its big job? Absorbing water. Hit those 4 points in your answer and you're golden. And now, the heart. You can pretty much guarantee this diagram will show up. And at the absolute bare minimum, you need to know the 4 chambers. Just remember, the atria are on top, they receive the blood, the ventricles are on the bottom, they're the big pumps. So you've got the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. Seriously, practice drawing this until you can do it with your eyes closed. These are free marks just waiting for you. Okay, let's go from a huge human organ to something tiny but super important in plants, the stomata. I know it sounds complicated, but drawing it is ridiculously easy. Seriously, watch. Step 1, draw 2 bean shapes facing each other. Boom, those are your guard cells. Step 2, leave a little space between them. That's your stomatal pore. And step 3, just scribble some random looking cells around the outside. And that's it. You've just drawn a perfect stomata diagram. All right, let's circle back to respiration for a second. Because it's way more than just a definition, right? It's really the story of how our bodies make energy. And this story actually has 2 different endings, or 2 different versions. So those 2 versions are aerobic and anaerobic. And the difference couldn't be simpler. Aerobic respiration needs oxygen and it gives you a ton of energy. Anaerobic happens without oxygen, and you get way less energy out of it. And if you're ever stuck, just remember my little trick. Aerobic needs air, specifically the oxygen in the air. Easy, right? Okay, let's put this into a real-life situation. This is a classic exam question, by the way. Picture this. You're going all out, exercising like crazy. You start to feel tired, and then, ouch, your muscles start to cramp. Why? Because your muscles just aren't getting enough oxygen. We've all been there, right? So think about it. Which process are we talking about here? It's respiration. Your poor muscles are so desperate for energy that they're forced to switch over to anaerobic respiration. And that process creates this byproduct called lactic acid. That's what's causing the cramps and making you feel tired. See? It's a perfect example of how this stuff actually works in the real world. Okay, enough about us humans. Plants have some pretty cool systems too. Let's talk about how they get stuff around. The best way to picture it is to think of plants as having their own internal plumbing system, with two main types of pipes. So, the first pipe is called the xylem. Its job is super simple. It moves water and minerals. And here's the key. It's a one-way street. It only goes up, from the roots all the way up to the leaves. You can think of it like a straw for the plant, or a water elevator that only has an up button. And the second pipe, that's the phloem. Now, if the xylem is applied, the phloem is the plant's personal food delivery service. It takes all that sugary food, the glucose, that the leaves make and delivers it wherever it's needed, to the roots, to new flowers, to growing fruit. And unlike the xylem, this delivery service goes in all directions. It's a two-way street. Okay, that was a lot of info, I know. But you're doing great. So how about we test what's stuck in your brain? Let's do a super quick, confidence-boosting speed round quiz. I'll shoot a question, you shout out the answer. You shout out the answer. You ready? Let's go. First question. This is a classic one-mark question. What's the functional unit of the kidney? Go. And the answer is the nephron. You've got millions of his little guys working for you as we speak. All right, next one. Fill in the blank for me. Anaerobic respiration, the one that gives you muscle cramps, it happens in the absence of what? Oxygen, of course. That's the entire difference. Remember, aerobic needs air. Anaerobic doesn't. Simple. You guys are crushing this. All right, we are in the home stretch. We're about to wrap up with some final pro tips. This is the stuff that's going to make sure you walk into that exam feeling totally prepared and ready to crush it. So here it is, your final game plan. Number 1, know those definitions cold, word for word. Number 2, practice those diagrams until you can't get them wrong. Number 3, don't just memorize facts, understand the process. Ask yourself how and why. How does the blood actually flow? Number 4, do a quick review of the key chemical equations. And finally, number 5, solve as many of those case-based questions as you can find. That's where you really prove you know your stuff. Look, you've got this. Just go over these key things, get some sleep, and you're gonna do awesome. But before you go, I'll leave you with a little something to think about. We talked about the heart's 4 chambers, right? But have you ever stopped to wonder exactly how many times your heart beats in a single day? The answer is, well, it's pretty shocking. But that's a story for our next explainer. Now go on, good luck.